Hello, I'm Michelle Takio Bende, Chief Hugger, Coach, and Consultant, founder of Happen Training and co-founder of MI Happen CIC. A few weeks ago, I delivered a webinar, and a part of that webinar was explaining to those that joined who I was and what my background was. And afterwards, I actually had a few comments from some people that I've since spoken to who liked the slide I did to describe who I was. So I thought I would do this video to share with you. Probably won't remember exactly what I said, but similar to what I said, because that person said they learned something about me that they didn't know. And so, yeah, I guess if you're thinking about working with me, you might too want to know a bit more about me. And so that's what this video is about. So hopefully this works. I'm going to change my background so you can see the slide. I think this works. Let me just get my head out of the way. So this lovely slide was made with the help of Canva. So shout out to Canva who made this. I'm not being sponsored. And so yeah, I use this slide to share some information, describe some bits about me, before I went into the topic area with those that joined the webinar. So starting at number one, yes, starting at number one, I studied computer science. So back in 2008, yes, I am old. I graduated from Bristol University with a Masters of Engineering in Computer Science. So that's kind of where my professional or some of my professional life came from. Those that know me from way back will know that I got my first job at 14. So I've been working for a while. I've done lots of different things. My first job was picking fruit in a local fruit cart farm. I have worked in a Chinese restaurant next to my secondary school. I worked for an entertainment business. They used to entertainers, shout out to entertainers. What do they do? They offer DJs. They run actually like I've lost count how many different shows that they actually put on across the UK and the world, actually. I think they put on some stuff in the US and have done some places in Europe too. I used to be one of the lovely people that would sell merchandise to those that, yeah, would attend. I've also used to work in their office many moons ago. I've worked for the Arcadia brand. So, yeah, those that knew me in my uni days or my college days would know that I worked for Arcadia. You name it, I probably worked from it. Sadly, Arcadia aren't around anymore, but Burton's, Dorothy Perkins, Miss Selfridge, I worked for a bit. I've done some shifts at Evans Warehouse, effectively all of the Arcadia brand, if they needed some staff. Once you're in, you sort of got moved around quite a lot in some of the cities that I've worked in. Um, and then, yeah, I guess when I graduated from computer science, I then moved on to number two. And so, although technically I was doing it before I graduated, but still, let's keep this short. Yes, I started my career out as an IT consultant and then quickly moved into management consultancy. So, when I graduated, I worked for a financial advisory that sadly doesn't exist anymore, Dexter Partnership. I actually came to know Dexter Partnership through the Shell Step scheme, which again, I don't think is around anymore. But Shell, the oil company, used to run a scheme or a program whereby they encouraged those that were coming towards their graduation to consider um, yeah, applying for jobs in small to medium-sized businesses around their local area and not just the big guns of whatever industry that you were hoping to get into post university. And so I actually did an internship with Dexter Partnership in between, I think it was in between my second and third year of university, so before I went into my third year. And then after I did my internship with them, I loved working with them so much. I actually pitched for them to take me on as an IT consultant when I graduated. Sadly, I guess a little bit of context behind there. Sadly, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and so I made the decision to move back home so that I could, yeah, just be there to support him and my mum. And so while doing that, clearly I needed a job. And so, yeah, I pitched to Dexter Partnership and I became their IT consultant, and that meant that I was around and home sort of 3 or 4 days in a week, and then I would actually travel back up to Bristol and see friends there and still be working for Arcadia. Back then it was I was working for Dorothy Perkins in Bristol. Um, and so yeah, I kind of did both of those jobs, but really my, I guess, management consultancy, IT consultancy career kicked off once, or probably like 2 years from graduation, as I just mentioned, but in anger really once I graduated with Dexter Partnership. Then I moved to Logica, who are no more. Sadly, they were bought, I believe, by a Canadian consultancy, CGI. But there, yeah, I did lots of different roles. The one that stands out particular was working in a bid team with the defense sales department in Logica. And yeah, we worked on a bid. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name. I'm not going to say the name just in case I'm not allowed to say the name. But we worked on a bid. I spent quite a considerable time working on that bid actually. And so was there for just under 2 years before I made the difficult decision to move on. Part of that decision was influenced by the fact that I was having to drive via the commuting via the M25. Those of you that have ever commuted by the M25 might know that you just can't predict it. So on a good day, it could take me 2 hours to get to the office. On a bad day, it could take anything up to 6 hours each way. So yeah, after 2 years of this sort of potluck uh, commute, and also, if I'm honest, I kind of missed the small company vibe, working for a small company. I made the decision to leave and I joined a company that was sort of months in its infancy. I only kind of been established for months at the time. And so I joined Logica. I joined Logica. What am I saying? I joined Clarisys as employee number 4. And then, yeah, lived out the rest of my sort of employee consulting days at Clarisys. I was there for about 12 and a half years before sadly being made redundant while I was on maternity leave. And so, yeah, after management consulting, I moved into number 4. But before I go to number 4, let's not skip number 3. And that's just to say, while I was at Clarisys, I became a coach. So I was trained by the lovely Laurie Shirk, shout out to Laurie. Um, Along with my peers of other managers, we were trained um, and provided skills around, what a coaching is and trained how to be a coach. Because Logica, I keep saying Logica, sorry, Clarisys had um, an ethos where all of the managers within the organization would also become coaches. So you would fulfill the role as a manager, a coach, and also a mentor for the people that you effectively managed. And so, yeah, like quite early on into my career at Clarisys, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 years into my career at Clarisys, I also then got trained and became a coach. So if you're watching this video in 2026, I've been coaching for probably just shy of 13 years now. And so, yeah, 10 of those at Clarisys internally. So while I was at Clarisys, I started off as a consultant, and then towards my later years at Clarisys, I moved into the sort of people development, people space, really, people development, HR, that kind of space. So first I was seconded to be an internal consultant working with the then head of HR, shout out to Tim Hawke. And I did a number of great projects with him, kind of really projects that couldn't be picked up by other employees or employees that were maxed out. Anyone that knows anything by startups will know that a lot of the good work and a lot of the processes and the procedures that are put up in the first sort of years of running that business are all done internally by staff. Occasionally, you'd reach out to a professional, but effectively trying to keep the cost down as much as possible. So, yeah, helped build a number of different things working under Tim. And then when Tim moved away from the business, that's actually while I was on maternity leave with my first child. He kind of before I went on maternity leave, we'd been working together and looking at what next as Clarisis grew, kind of all the great work that Tim was doing was as one, as a person of one, sort of all the operational side of HR was starting to get to a point that was untenable for one person to pick up. So we started to develop something which we call people partners. I guess outside of the Clarisis bubble, it's probably more it's a role closely aligned with HR business partner. And so yeah, we were looking at, the people partner team, what that team would do, what their roles and responsibilities were. I was also looking at, while before jumping on into maternity leave, I was also looking at sort of stepping into sort of a people experience type role. I went on maternity leave. My daughter came 2 weeks earlier than planned. And then I think actually, so I had her, and then 2 weeks after, COVID happened. So we had the first COVID lockdown. And so naturally, Clarice has pivoted. That meant that the people partner idea that kind of we'd been working on the background needed to be launched. Like that launch was expedited so that the employees had the right support really. Yeah, and obviously it was more than what one person could do, and so the people partner team was launched while I was on maternity leave, which was quite exciting. But when I finished my maternity leave, that meant that the role that I thought I was going to be going back to didn't exist anymore, and so I joined the people partner team with the intention of becoming the lead of that team kind of once I got ramped up. But yes, so all of that to say, really, for this number three, my I guess my journey of a professional coach started whilst at Clarisis, fulfilling the consultant role, manager role as a consultant. And then when I moved across into the operational team, the people team as a people partner, and then the people partner team lead, I continued my coaching responsibilities, more of an ad hoc perspective, and just for the team that I continue to lead. And that brings me on to number four, which is now. So if you've watched my name change video, you will know that the Happen Training name is going. I'm going to be having a new trading name. Obviously, legally, will still be called Happen Training, but I'm going to have a new trading name. So a little plug for the countdown, which is obviously we are in come September. By the end of September, you will know the new name. But Happen Training, which I run, is a coaching, advisory, and delivery business. I often say coaching, delivery, and advisory business because it will make sense when I explain it. So, professional coaching, I offer exec coaching, leadership coaching to typically senior leaders, but actually, if you know anything about me and follow me on LinkedIn, you will know that I believe everybody is a leader. So I can actually coach everybody. I just find that I most enjoy coaching people with responsibility. Either you're stepping into a first leadership role, or you're not in leadership yet but you're wanting to further your career. Love working with people at that point in their career. Also, you're an established leader, you're running businesses, you're leading, you're at executive level, chief of staff, that sort of level, chief level. I think that's called the C-suite level, Michelle. C-suite level, or head of kind of level, or running your own company and stuff. I love working with people there. Someone once asked me why, and if I'm honest, the answer is because I enjoy coaching people who have already realized that they have potential. It's not that I can't coach people that haven't realized that, but I find, I guess, coming from a consulting background, I like to see results. And for me personally, when I'm working with people who have achieved something in their life, and I'm not talking big achievements, I'm talking like just being able to connect with the achievements they've had, like, completing school, completing secondary school, completing university. Like, I'm not talking, changing the world type milestones, but people that can see their journey and see some milestones that they've hit or things that they've achieved already when they come through a coaching program with me. We tend to, not always, but we tend to I tend to see, or they tend to realize, they tend to get results quicker than somebody who I coach who I have coached before that perhaps isn't as connected with their achievements. And so that's kind of really why I like working with leaders, heads of people that are looking for that next step up, because yeah, just selfishly, I love a result, and yeah, I love getting to an opportunity that they are seeing, holding the mirror up, and they are seeing their growth, and they're actually seeing their transition, and seeing that they are on their way to whatever it is they come to me to work with. I love that kind of work. Um, I completely have lost my train of thought. So yes, I was telling you about professional coaching. So that's the sort of coaching that I do under Happen Training. I do other coaching with the CIC, but we'll come back to that in a second. The delivery work I do kind of, I guess, touches on my consulting background. So the sorts of things you'll see me doing there are project management, program management, consulting in cultures, so helping businesses develop their culture, not just businesses, actually, helping businesses, organizations, charities, teams, doesn't necessarily need to be as big as an organization, impact their culture, change their culture, help them develop as a team, personal development. I met someone the other day and I described it as soft skills, which is so true. Yeah, so kind of help develop people in the soft skills, or companies in the soft skills area. I also heard the other day someone call it turbo skills, which I thought was fantastic. Maybe I'll do another video on that another time. And then the advisory piece is where I'm effectively not on the hook for doing the work, but I'm supporting somebody or a team that's on the hook for doing it. So there might be a project manager that's running a project and they've come stuck, or there has been something unexpected and they need a bit of help, bit of mentoring to get them through that bump and to get them on that journey, or vice versa. Culture, something's happened with a HR team or L&D or whatever it is. That's the sort of advisory stuff that I offer. And then the CIC, so MI Happen CIC is a wellness and people development consultancy. So it's a not-for-profit. I run that with a lovely lady called Anne Lee, who is a nutritionist. And together we offer our skills to people that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford it. So remembering what I do in Happen Training, we might offer them to, for example, the homeless, refugees, people of low income. We have actually started to also work with some global majority heritage people. And that is because there was a stat that I saw that I can't remember the exact stat now, so forgive me if I find it, I'll maybe comment on this video. But I saw a stat that said that actually um, the if you look at the percentage of people that benefit from uh, any kind of professional coaching, global majority heritage people, the segment of like that pie is actually quite small. And so, to me, it's people that otherwise wouldn't. If remembering the goal, it's for the community, people wise that otherwise wouldn't use our services or can't afford to use our services. So yeah, we have started to do some coaching via MI Happen CIC, professional coaching like leadership sort of stuff, soft skills, personal development sort of coaching through CIC to cater for that demographic too. Um, yeah, I think that's it. What else do I want to say? I want to say actually that something exciting that's happening with the CIC. So some exciting that's happened with Happen Training is the training name is changing. So look out and stay connected with me to find out what it is by the end of September. Something that's exciting that's happening for the CIC is that we are hoping to run. So we've been working, beavering away in the background, developing a number of different programs. And I'm excited to say that the Best Foot Forward program, which is tailored for homeless people or people that have, you know, have recently moved away from becoming homeless. So they're getting back off, they're getting back on their feet. We're going to be running that for the first time with real delegates by the end of this year. So that's super exciting. If you're watching this, you know that's August. So we're hoping to start sort of October, November time. So by the end of the year, we'd have completed the first running of our Best Foot Forward program. So that program is all about helping, yeah, homeless people, people that have recently been homeless back on their feet. It covers a number of different things like CV writing, confidence building, imposter syndrome, like just working on any kind of imposter syndrome, so sort of building. We badge it as like mind, body, and soul. So, you know, building their mind, building their connecting them with the skills, the fantastic skills that I'm sure they have already, and helping them sort of figure out how to package that, how to articulate that, how to be speaking about that while they then start to look for getting back into employment, so a job or starting their own business. Why not? And so that's the sort of side that I'll be leading the teaching on. And then Lee will be leading the teaching on more around kind of body and soul. So on a tight budget, how do you make sure that you still eat right? You know, you still feed your brain, you still look after your gut, and just other aspects of her services. She'll be doing that. And so, yeah, it'll be 7 sessions. Super excited about that. So again, look out. Once I've got the 6 week, once I'm sort of towards the tail end of the 6 week holidays, probably at the end of the 6 week holidays when the kids go back to school, I will start publicizing both both exciting things that are happening in the businesses so far. Yeah, I hope this video has been useful. I hope you are enjoying. So over here in the UK, the weather, we're going through a number of different heat waves. We are sort of at the tail end of, I think, our third heat wave of the year. So I hope you are staying cool, drinking, you're hydrated, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.